no in-flight entertainment. It was clean, it was nice. Hi, so here's my review of the airpeace flight from Lagos to London. So first off, generally speaking, it was a nice experience. I'm actually proud that a Nigerian carrier is putting on a big girl pants or big boy pants and doing these long haul flights. However, there is significant room for improvement, and we're going to talk about them in this video. So I flew airpeace from Lagos to London, because I keep putting air quotes, because the flight was, even though it was a direct flight, which I've now got to understand, it's different from non-stop. So the flight was from Lagos to Abuja, and from Abuja to London Heathrow. I know when airpeace started off their flights, they started off from Lagos, and it was Lagos to Gatwick. So I do not know, maybe I'll find out before I post this video, if they still do Lagos to Gatwick direct. But if you're going to Heathrow, like I did find out, I had to go through Abuja first, which on its own was perfect for this trip for me, because I was traveling with my mom. My mom, I had to meet up with her in Abuja, so it was perfect for this flight. But if you have no reason to be in Abuja, you don't have somewhere to stay in Abuja, this might not be it for you. So they don't provide transportation or accommodation within Abuja. You're going to sort yourself out, which I had no problems with, because I have family and have people to pick me up in Abuja. So it was actually perfect for me. But aside that, was it worth it for that trip? Well, I'll say yes, because for the price point, I would pick that flight over again. But maybe not because I didn't have a family member, or if I didn't have a family member in Abuja. Let me stop rambling about that. So first off, I flew from MM1, the local airport, with local flight, to Abuja. And although they tagged our bags as transfer, you still would have to pick up your bag from the carousel in Abuja and transport to the international terminal on your own. So it's not like a transfer left over for the airpeace staff. So that was one. And the fact that I also had to figure out my accommodation was something I wasn't entirely happy about. Then the next thing about that trip was, okay, that's actually something I liked. On the queue at the airport, they had this staff that walk up to people, passengers or potential passengers, and point them to like scales and everything. So it's like self-weigh, you weigh in your luggages and then repack and unpack or anything, so that when you get to the check-in counter, you don't have to do any of those all over again. So if you have to remove some things, which we had to repack our own bags, so it was nice that I was able to do that, because I usually would have anxiety had I not known the weight of my luggage. So that was, so aside that, the pre-check-in or the pre-proper flight was generally okay.
I know organ show like this.
Yes, now.
I'm on a show but clear. I get a original one.
Jump second. Now walk a bit faster. So the next thing, in flight. In flight, the air hostesses, I did not interface a lot with them, but they seemed okay. They were not super chatty or super smiley. They were just there, or we did not interface. And I did not even see people that maybe had arguments or anything on board. They wore their uniform, interesting. It was nice. I love Miss Omisiago. It was nice. However, there was no in-flight entertainment. So thankfully, I kind of read about it somewhere, and quickly while we were on ground, I downloaded some things on YouTube on my iPad, and well, my mom's iPad. And I also downloaded some music on my Spotify that I could listen to in flight. So that actually took me, then the games I had. So just sort out your entertainment if you are the kind that needs screen time. If you're a book person, pick up a book. Another thing in terms of entertainment is there is no in-flight Wi-Fi. I love me some in-flight Wi-Fi. I do love an in-flight Wi-Fi, and they don't have that. Again, the price point for it, I'm not mad. I'll sort myself out. But another big point about the whole flight, in flight, was what's it called? The food. I loved the food. As a Nigerian, with a Nigerian, predominantly Nigerian palate, the food was kick-ass. I had the jollof rice with chicken and sides of peas and carrots, while my mom had, I don't know what type of rice, but I think it was rice and stew with fish. And she also complimented them that the food was nice. However, what I'd have to say is that I hope there's an option to pick a less spicy version. The food was spicy, like there was pepper, but I did not mind. But if this is an international flight, if you're going to cater to people from different nationalities, you should also have the option of them picking a less spicy food. So all in all, it's awesome. I loved their food. But, however, the dessert, the cake that came with that food was dry as my bone. It was so dry. Maybe they tried, I think they put something like condensed milk at the bottom, maybe trying to do something, but it wasn't doing, it was just breaking apart. It was dry. The bread was not all that. The food is not standout, but I loved the jollof rice. I think that alone was something. And if I had to travel with my kids on airpeace, I know that I don't have to like pack actual food, just put snacks here and there, and I'm sure they're going to eat the food. Unlike some other airlines, they wouldn't even touch with a long spoon. So it was a partial win, but it was spicy. It would be spicy for people who don't take spicy meals. So yeah. Enjoy your time. Shabi, say you want to feature in my video. Say hello. Say hello. Alright. You're doing well. I'm tired. You're happy with yourself now? So finally, my overall rating for airpeace, I'll just give it maybe 6 or 6.5. So for the organization, they are quite organized from ground to check-in. It was organized. The plane was clean. It was nice. Although the flight we used was empty, which was a plus for me. The air hosts and hostesses were okay. Okay, because we didn't have a lot of interaction, but they were fine. Their food, however, the rice is great. Every other thing is blah. The jollof rice is great. So I heard people talk about the swallow. I flew economy and never saw the swallow in the economy. It wasn't even given as an option. Maybe something they gave in business class. Maybe it's an option in business class, but in economy it was not an option. So, but I'll rate the food alone, probably rate it like a 7, and that's just the jollof rice. Every other thing was well. They even served a snack like a sandwich, and it was just a loaf of bread with dried chicken, cold cheese, and a slice of tomato. Like I kid you not, just a slice of tomato in there, and it was given Air France. I don't like it. I do not like it. So for food, I'll give maybe a 5, and all this is goes to the jollof rice. Every other thing wasn't a great one. But the plane itself was clean. The ride was smooth. But the fact that I had to stop over in Abuja for people flying from Lagos, it was perfect for the purpose of this trip for me. But for some other persons or for some other people, no, no. And this is coming from me who likes transit. I love transit flights. As long as I'm not traveling with kids, I love transit flights. But this did not give like a transit flight. If I was to take it and I had no person or nobody in Abuja, it would have just been a bunch of headache. Getting there, trying to sort out my own transportation, my accommodation, then setting up, like it would have been a lot. But all in all, I understand it's like it's new. I think they started last 2 years. But I'm proud of airpeace and everything they are doing with this flight. I know I might be a little bit harsh with the way I'm rating them, but that's simply because I'm rating them with the Middle Eastern flights like Turkish, Emirates, and all those things. I understand that these flights or these other companies are way richer and they have been in the business for longer periods, and I'm hoping that with time, airpeace will be able to compete with these other bigger brands. But for now, good job, and I appreciate my flight. I would do it again and again. For the price point, it's lovely. However, just if anybody from airpeace watches this video, please work on all of this that I have mentioned, and you would have yourself in the path to literally fly with the stars. So till I see you next time, bye.